So in this video, we're going to talk about how to use the equality properties to solve equations. So what are the equality properties? Basically, the equality properties are what you've always been using to undo the operations in an equation to solve for the variables. So for example, when you have x over 2 equals 10, you multiply both sides by 2 and you get x equals 20. 3x equals 9, you divide both sides by 3 and you get x equals 3. X plus 2 equals 7, you subtract 2 from both sides and get x equals 5. X minus 4 equals 10, you add 4 to both sides and get x equals 14. So this step right here where you do this whatever operation on both sides, those are called the equality properties. Because like what it's telling us is that we can do the same thing to both sides of our equation without changing the meaning of the equation. So these are going to be really useful to us when we're working on this lesson because we're going to transform equations into what we need, which is going to help us solve a lot of problems without having to fully solve an equation. So let's see what that looks like. So if 6x minus 12 equals 18, then what does 6x plus 5 equal? So you may be tempted to go ahead and entirely solve this equation and then find the value of x and then go plug it back in. You can actually save yourself a little bit of time if you kind of use a shortcut. So here we have 6x minus 12 equals 18, okay? So notice I have a 6x here, and then I actually have a 6x in what I'm trying to find. So what I'm thinking here is if I go ahead and solve this equation for 6x, I can just plug that into this equation, and then I can solve without having to fully solve my equation. So let me show you what that looks like. So if I want to get 6x by itself, well, I know I can use my equality properties anytime in an equation. I can go ahead and add 12 to both sides, and I can get 6x equals 30. And so I can just take that 6x equals 30 and plug it into this equation. Okay, so I have 6x plus 5, and I'm trying to find what that equals. Well, instead of 6x, I already know that 6x equals 30. So I'm just going to plug that in, and I get 30 plus 5, which is equal to 35. So it's kind of like giving yourself a shortcut into solving these kind of problems. So for example, if you have 3t minus 7 equals 5t, and it's asking you for the value of 6t, let's think about how we can use this information to get us some idea of what 6t is supposed to be. Well, I notice I have a t on both sides of my equation, so how about maybe I move all the variables to one side? So I'm thinking maybe if I subtract 3t from both sides, I can get some idea of what to do from here. So I have 3t minus 3t, and I subtract them, they cancel. And then I have negative 7 equals 5t minus 3t, which is 2t. Well, I have a 2t, but what I need is a 6t. So how can I turn a 2t into a 6t? Well, I can use the property of equality, which tells me I can multiply both sides by 3. Okay, if I multiply both sides by 3, I'm going to end up with negative 21 equals 6t. Well, see, I've already solved for the value of 6t, which is what this problem was actually asking me for. So now you can go ahead and pause the video and try doing this example on your own. So here it tells us that 5y plus 2 equals 8 plus y, and then it's asking us for 12y. So I'm going to kind of work on this problem and see if I can turn what I have into 12y. So I have 5y plus 2 equals 8 plus y. So I kind of want to get y by itself, so I'm going to go ahead and subtract 2 from both sides and see what I can do from there. So I have 5y equals 8 minus 2 is 6, and then I have 6 plus y. Well, now let me think about maybe putting all my y's together on one side. So I'm going to subtract y from both sides, and so I have 4y equals 6. Well, I have a 4y, but what I actually need is a 12y, right? So how do I turn 4y into 12y? Well, I can do that by multiplying both sides by 3. If I multiply both sides by 3, I'm going to end up with 12y equals 18, and that's actually what this problem is asking me for. So you can use equality properties to solve a problem without fully solving an equation. These properties can help you transform an equation into what is needed in order for you to solve the problem.